So I got to ask you on a personal note, when you watch this, and if you turn on your television or open up your newspaper or whatever, you see the kind of the chaos going on. But looking at your data, you can kind of anticipate it anyway. So it's probably no big surprise to you when it all hits, right?
That's pretty much the case. I actually enjoy surprise when I find it now because so much of the work seems to take some element of that out.
Yes.
And I also have a tendency to be living about, say 16, 18 months ahead in the future because that really is the far end of where the data is, and I'm always tracking that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sort of a life. That's quite true because a lot of people will talk about a certain thing going on. It's like I keep saying to them, well, why are you surprised? You knew about this 2 years ago. Get with the program.
Right, catch up here. Open your eyes. It really is. It really is fascinating. Like I said before, whenever it comes to when we have you on the program, the things we talk about, and then sitting back and kind of watching things play out. Now, one of the things that we talked about last time you were on was the aspect of people just vanishing. Can you tell me about that again?
Yeah, we have a key word for disappearances. And the oddity of the whole thing is that it appears to be a long-term thread within the language in the sense that our forecasts are that the language around disappearances will pop up and then fade away and then pop up and fade away and so on, but that it'll transit through the mainstream media and the independent media over the course of some period of time, maybe 2 to 3 years. And we indeed have seen some of the first ones have actually panned out in the sense that we had forecasts for disappearances associated with people and yachts and mega yachts and this kind of thing, and Marie Celeste incidents, and those sure are popping up around.
Here's something real quick, and I promised that I would keep an eye on the chat room for any questions that were coming through. And this comes in from a listener out there that says, I'm a small farmer, and I'm already experiencing people who are preferring to be paid for services with cash and food. How prevalent does Clif expect quasi-barter to get as a means of conducting business?
Well, here's the end result of it all. We're gonna go through a transition. So, excuse me. The problem with making the forecast is it sounds like it's from this point on, and it's an evolutionary sort of a thing.
Yes.
But we're evolving towards what we call a calorie economy that will relate to energy and food, and that's how people will be paid in basically spare food or spare energy.
Yes.
And at some point, though, we'll get as sophisticated enough that we believe that precious metals will be included within that as a proxy for long-term or long-distance trading of those kind of commodities.
Uh-huh.
But I suspect that it will become the way of getting things done, especially over the course of this next year.
Really?
The dollar death that we've got forecast here, the dollar is kind of a weird currency because it's been kept alive a lot longer than most. It started in 1913, and it won't make 2013 here, so it won't last 100 years. But most currencies actually perish. Most paper currencies perish between 56 years and 72 years, with a couple in the history that have extended out to about 78.
Yes.
So here we are in our long of 80s, or actually 90s with the dollars. And the dollar crash, in many different ways, or the dollar death, the process of it, we've gone back and looked at it historically in the United States, those periods where previous paper currencies have crashed, because there have been 4 of them in our history, 4 currencies that we've had that just have died.
Yes.
And we're seeing a lot of the same sorts of things emerge. And in between each one, you go basically to a gold and silver economy that is everything's worked around some form of a caloric exchange. I have extra sheep's wool, and I'll trade it to you for you making it into a sweater or whatever.
Sure.
Trade it for canned goods and this kind of thing.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that doesn't really go very well with a huge, giant population that's all set up to be, I guess, electronically connected and sort of dial it in. So we're going to have something of a social order conflict there.
I visited a gentleman that lives in a small town here in Texas, and he told me that what the town the entire town, I can't remember how many people, it's not a whole lot of people in this little town, and it really is very small, but they got together independently, and they put together a survival bunker, which he gave me a tour of, which I was quite impressed by, actually. The way that it was done, and of course we wanted to keep the location secret, so I didn't take any cameras or anything. I really wanted to. We tried to talk them into let me just film a little bit of it. No. But the entire town got together and did this, a survival bunker. And I thought, okay, now, has everyone in this town gone completely bonkers, or are they just being smart and being prepared?
They're following the lead of the wealthiest people on the planet.
Oh.
To say that they are smart and being prepared.
Yes?
Because the wealthiest people on the planet have been squirreling away stuff like mad for probably the last 20 years with real seriousness.
Uh-huh.
And look at how much money and effort they put into overcoming every single objection and doing the screwiest international project ever, which was the seed vault, and they did it well, and they did it in an extremely short period of time.
Yes. Which Monsanto went in and started cloning and patenting all the seeds.
Right, which is neither here nor there. My point in the illustration is just that the fact that they built it, where they built it, how they built it, and overcoming all of the normal objections of, international environmental groups, etc., and just making it happen finally, tells you a whole lot about their motivation. So any town that has the smarts to go ahead and prepare for themselves a collective survival strategy is way ahead of the game.
Yeah, and they did it independently outside of any type of city council or anything. They even had and city council members were part of it and everything else. They said, you know what, why wrap it all up in red tape? Let's just fund it ourselves and do it. And they did it. Right. And some of the innovations too that they used for power and other things was brilliant. I thought, wow, this is pretty impressive. I mean, it really is impressive. Too bad you couldn't do that every time and move around city council red tape to get things done that effectively.
Right, and we actually probably will at some point over the course of this next year will evolve to where there will be a lot of that independent action, because the idea that we're all settled with now, which is that government in some way can come to our aid, that there's a monolithic government that can cure everything, that idea will fade. And the first response in the future will be to get it done ourselves, if we're going to get it done at all.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick break here. Wow, like I said, I was quite impressed by this bunker, quite big, and could really house people for a while. Something bad happens, even if it's just a tornado, everyone has somewhere to go. Well, if a tornado hit me tomorrow, I wouldn't have anywhere to go, that's for sure. I just have to put my head down and hope for the best. We'll talk about natural disasters when we come back. Stick around. It's Badlands Radio. It's Friday night. I'm your host, Captain Jack. All right, let's get Clif back in. Clif, welcome back.
Thank you much. I wish I had some of that pie.
We'll have to. There's a lady here in town that makes these homemade pies that I'm going to have to send you one of these, because these things are like heaven in a pan. I'm telling you, they are so good. I don't know what she puts in there, if it's some kind of like homemade tequila or something, but you just want to keep having more of her pies, I'm telling you. So, boy. So we have right now, of course, these this natural disaster that just happened, and I know that you and I have talked about earthquakes in the past. Earthquakes, something strange with earthquakes. We talked about the Princeton eggs. The Princeton eggs fascinate me, especially whenever it comes to earthquakes, because before any big one, these things go bright red. Why, we don't know. How does your data compare to with natural disasters? What does it see?
Well, we actually get a sort of an interesting resonance with that, because I think humans are huge antennas for this kind of thing coming out in the future.
Yes.
So we get a lot of information on it. We had so much in the way of earthquake information coming out from midsummer onward, so from about July 15th onward, that there was just no point in our report to discuss about individual earthquakes. They're just going to be so numerous.
Yes.
We do expect maybe 3 or 4 very large damaging earthquakes to hit the west coast of the Americas, both north and south, early next year.
Uh-huh.
And by damaging to the point where that word is going to hang around for months, as though, bridges and roads are down and they may require 8 or 9 months worth of work to repair. That's a sort of level of damage.
Yes.